stepped in some dog doo doo, and then
Yeah,
they stick it in their mouths.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's that's unfortunate. You know, it's just you can't.
Sour grape. Look, listen. Instead of these AAA studios and publishers learning from someone else's success, they're just getting mad.
Yeah, yeah. But in any case, we'll get to that topic.
Mm-hmm.
But let's do our introductions. This is Kenoshi Abamnita, host of Project Console. The title of this episode is Goliath Can't Compete, and I'm sure you pretty much know what we're going to talk about with
Mm-hmm.
that title. And well, introduce yourself.
Yes, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. Glad to be on another cast, especially a cast that I don't have to run. Someone else is the captain now, so that's great. I always love that.
So before we jump into the Baldur's Gate stuff, I found it super hilarious. A few days after Baldur's Gate dropped, Overwatch dropped. You know, it just felt like something on Steam, and holy crap, that that get wrecked in the Steam comment section.
Yeah.
Blizzard was developer from Blizzard was some of the people that was complaining about Baldur's Gate. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll essentially put this. So there's been more Baldur's Gate 3 drama. Um, these AAA developers, publishers, are caught up in their feelings. Um, One of the things they were bitching about was the fact that it was assumed that Baldur's Gate was being funded by Wizards of the Coast, which wasn't the
Oh no,
case.
they
And it was
bought the
by
license. I mean, they licensed it, and they fund. It was self funded. It was self published
yeah. I
by
would
Larian.
when they released the game in early access for $60, I was annoyed. But as I found as a drop as as I played this game and
Just
as
Act One.
yeah, just
Like Act One is a complete game by itself.
yeah, yeah,
It's kind of like I'm going to use another really good developer as an example. Like it's like when you first played Link to the Past, where you get through you're in the light world. Light world is roughly the size of the original Legend of Zelda game
yeah,
by itself.
yeah,
Like if you added two more dungeons, you'd have the same amount of dungeons as the first game,
yeah,
and it's bigger than Legend of Zelda 2.
yeah,
So like you're like, oh, you fight your way up to the tower. It's like I fought Aghanim. I beat the game. Nah, man, the game just started. Now you're playing with power,
yeah,
and that's how the game is. It's like, shit. There's like there's a whole another game here.
yeah, yeah. That yeah. The first act alone is can be a game in itself, but yeah, it's like after hearing the fact that they bought the D&D license, that couldn't have been cheap.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it probably wasn't ultra expensive.
yeah, yeah, because
Because remember, they probably licensed this when Wizard of the Coast hadn't gotten greedy yet with their licensing.
yeah, yeah. There's not a lot of people making D&D games. I mean, you have Pathfinder, but that's a whole different. That's a whole
That's
different
a
thing.
different publisher. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
different IP.
yeah. That's a whole different IP. Um,
Um, no, there are D&D games. Just most of them suck.
yeah, yeah.
Like Dark Alliance 3, like the reboot of Dark Alliance that came out a few years ago, where the studio just started making a D&D game and then said, "Oh well, we'll get the license later on." What they wound up doing was creating a game that was fundamentally broken.
Mm,
That game still has not been fixed because they didn't have enough money to. Like the guy, there's a guy called AJ Pickett, aka the Mighty Glue Stick, who he helped do the lore, write the lore for that game. He's like, yeah, the guys who made that game like he was like, hey, so what are you gonna do with like how are you like? There's this character whose special ability is that she's a ranger and she can like turn into a giant like cat. Like we can't do that. It's like why we don't have the money to buy the asset pack.
Oh,
Yeah, they ran out of money.
so they're mixing a ranger with a druid. That's interesting.
No, well, it's set in the same continuity as Driss Drowden
Oh,
and like those legendary characters, Caddy Bree and Wolfgar and all those types. Like if you're really into the D&D, RA, Salvatore, Forgotten Realms shit, you know these characters. And Driss Drowden's girlfriend, Caddy Bree, can also turn into a cat. Like she can turn to a panther type thing. So like that's one of her character abilities, and it's like, oh no, they can't do that because we don't have the money for it. It's like god damn, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man,
But yeah, that's so that, I found that interesting, and it just a lot of things. Apparently, IGN's
it's
getting in
sour
the mix of
graping,
this,
man.
and it's just like,
It's just sour graping. They're like, well, they did this, and I don't like this, and you know, instead of saying, let's look. Now continue, man. I'll come with my thoughts at the end.
I was gonna say, you know, one of the things I was thinking about because somebody brought this up in a video I was watching. I was gonna say, like, you know, the people that are making the new Dragon Age are probably shitting themselves right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, because that game is gonna get compared to Baldur's Gate up, down, left, right, center because they use a lot
Yeah.
of they use a lot of Bioware's old formula in Baldur's Gate, and it's just kind of like and expand upon it, and then so that game is in deep shit.
And
If it wasn't in dire straits, oh, it's gonna be in more trouble.
and
Uh,
also, no, sorry.
the people in Bioware, the leaders of Bioware, the new leaders, probably sweating their ass off right now. Like,
Well, I mean, there's also this going on, which is what's kind of sad, is that like the reason Baldur's Gate is successful is because Larian has been making computer RPGs for 20 years.
yeah,
That is their strength. That is their wheelhouse. And unlike BioWare, that keeps on trying to water down their fucking IPs to appeal to a mass market instead of sticking to what they're good at, Larian said, we're going to take all the expertise of the shit we're good at and focus it on a new IP.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
BioWare, like Dragon Age Origins, is amazing.
yeah,
Dragon Age Awakening, the expansion, pretty good. Dragon Age 2 is trash. Why? Because they dumbed it down and watered it down. And what's the word that that piece of shit Todd Howard likes to use? Oh, streamlining. They streamlined it to the point where it doesn't even resemble its source material anymore.
yeah.
Same thing with Inquisition.
No,
The lesson that they should learn from Larian is stop trying to fucking water down your IPs to appeal to a mass market and make a good game.
I don't know. It's like you had, you know, Love or Hate Breath of the Wild, you had Elden Ring, you had now Baldur's Gate 3, and it's just kind of like these weren't games that necessarily thought, you know, the player was dumb. They treated the players like they were you know, somewhat competent, and for some reason these companies, especially with the Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, they just got their panties in a bunch. It's like what? It's like you guys have 10 times. You guys have 10 times the resources that Larian has, and you guys are shaking in your boots because this little. Well, I mean, they have a fairly large staff, but compared to them, this little indie studio showed you up. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, what it boils down to is they're basically like, look, and what they're saying, like what it is sour graping and also regret because anyone with a brain can see why they were successful.
Yeah.
You can see why the game was successful because, they made a good game and they didn't water it down to appeal to the mass market all that much. Like, if you
Yeah.
played Divinity Original Sin 2, you've played Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. Yeah. You
I
know what
mean,
to get into.
it's
I feel like Divinity Original Sin 2 was a lot easier to get into than the first one. I thought I know this is a dirty word, but I feel like they streamlined things in such a way without sacrificing the game, uh, the gameplay.
fair.
Yeah, in
That's fair.
Divinity Original Sin 2. But yeah, and there's a lot of ways you can execute certain events, and um, what one of the interesting things about this game is you kind of want to do as little as little fighting as you can, because you die pretty easily compared to other RPGs where you can just brute force your way
In Baldur's
into
Gate or Divinity.
Baldur's Gate 3. Just this
I
kind of
mean,
game in
yeah.
general. Uh,
Depending on what your class is, like if you have a class of magic users, yeah, they're not. They are not really built to take a hit. They
yeah,
are not. Now, if you have a party of fighters, then yeah, y'all can do some shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a
But yeah,
bard. Yeah. Well, this person's a mute, so they're completely. You can't charm them into liking you, so they killed your ass. I tried to seduce the mute dragon. They weren't having it. They kicked
yeah.
my ass.
Oh, I use the bard for certain buffs for party members if I need to. Uh, but yeah, it's a very good game. It's gotten a lot of people or it's getting people into the D&D lore, because I've seen places where it's like, I'm not very super familiar with D&D. I've seen other places where it's like, yeah, I'm not in D&D. This is my first D&D game. So,
That's fair.
yeah.
For me, um, how can I put this nicely? I played a lot of D&D back in the day. Um, but I'm not like I'm not like king of the nerds with D&D. I'm like, I like it. I prefer Pathfinder a little bit better, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, but it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Way things are going, Baldur's Gate might be my game of the year, or at least it's on the list. Uh, but
It's going to be between. I like Baldur's Gate 3. I think it's going to be between Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield.
yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how Starfield comes out.
Even though they are two fundamentally different games.
Yeah, yeah. But before we get into the LMG stuff, let's talk about the Overwatch situation on Steam, since we're talking about sour grapes. Um, so Overwatch 2, uh, or AKA Overwatch expansion, but they decided to market it as
That's what it.
Overwatch
Yeah,
2.
they were working on Overwatch 2, and Activision Blizzard was like, we need to get something out right now. So they scrapped what was going to be Overwatch 2 and basically took an expansion to Overwatch and made that Overwatch 2.
Yeah, yeah, and
Bobby Kotick, you piece of shit.
it's on the it is on the wall of shame on Steam. It is one of the lowest reviewed games ever on Steam. Like it's at some point it's just like it's not it's not about respect anymore. It's just purely about the money. Like, they don't even give a damn. Like, I get it. Corporations, they're not your friends, they're not your buddy, but at least you would want a fair amount of respect between your product and the customer. Like, I figure you at least want some credibility so that you wouldn't risk losing a bunch of people. But these companies don't care about they don't care about respect. They don't care about any of that. They just want to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. But what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, not really surprised. Uh, I mean, what people need to realize is that the Overwatch 2 that we got is not the Overwatch 2 that team was working on before they left. Because remember, the people who originally were working on Overwatch and Overwatch 2, they left. That lady quit and she took her team with her. They went someplace else.
Yeah.
So what you have left is a lot of people who weren't invested, who were just told to shut up and do what they were told.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They're doing what they're told. The problem is that what they were told, like what they're doing, people don't like. Like, it's not really, And like I said, Overwatch, when it came out, I'm like, this is like an adult, this is like an older person. If Splatoon is for like families and kids, Overwatch is Splatoon for adults.
Yeah. Yeah, very bright, colorful, very action heavy.
Except with interesting characters, because the Inklings are just fucking useless.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously,
and I'm like, if
all these characters and they all have backstories, and this is kind of like,
yeah, I'm like, I want to know more about this character. Nah.
Yeah, it's like
Nah.
I would like to see more. Yeah, that was the disappointing thing about when I first saw Overwatch, the first game. Was like, because they came out with a lot of these cool cutscenes and
Yeah. I mean, just the character design alone told a story. Like, Winston, you have a fucking gorilla in armor with a gun. Whoa! What the fuck? Tell me more, please. I would love to hear more about this story. Nah.
No, they're just gonna relegate it to online. If you want to read the story, then check out the wiki. It's like, okay. Yeah,
We made a graphic novel about it. You want to read that?
I'd rather
not
play
really.
with these characters. I don't know.
Yeah.
A single player game with these characters.
And you can't tell me that Activision doesn't have the resources to do this. Activision Blizzard. That's bullshit.
Yeah. They take a big cut out of the profits of the company and use it to buy their second or third yacht. That's what they do.
Oh, man.
Go to
Sir,
fancy parties.
Bobby Kotick is buying hair plugs to replace the hair plugs that wither and die because they're on the head of a man who is a human piece of shit.
Yeah, that guy's something else, isn't he?
I'm Bobby Kotick, you piece of shit. Can't fix his ugly ass, slimy looking face though.
Yeah, he looks like a goblin, doesn't he? Looks like a goblin.
He looks like a fat human version of Golem. The lights, we hates it. We hates the lights.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's well,
Sadly, he will never be given the comeuppance he needs, which is to be fired and get no severance pay.
He'll get a nice golden parachute and go away. Hopefully,
That whole executive suite is going to get a nice golden parachute. For fundamentally, like, there was a time when Activision and Blizzard, like Blizzard was one of the most influential gaming companies you could ever imagine. And they managed to turn Blizzard into a fucking joke.
Yeah.
You know, it's like surely they wouldn't fuck that up. Yeah, they did because it's Bobby Kotick. Whatever he touches turns to shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So I don't know if you saw, but Gamers Nexus released a video. It's either yesterday or the day before, about Linus Media Group,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're familiar with them. So apparently they've been having a lot of errors on their reviews. For example, there was a view. I think it was like 4090 and 3090, and they had a statistic that said that the 4090 was 300% better than the 3090, when in actuality it was 75%. And there were errors on top of errors on top of errors, and then you had the staff, because they went around and talked about the staff and what it was like to work at Linus Media Group, and they were like, yeah, I wish we had more time to meet, for the videos. Video scheduling is insane, and I don't really feel like we have enough time to finish them. So, Gamers Nexus came out with a video, talking about how flawed a lot of their methodology was, because they built a lab a couple of years ago to test consumer products, and one of the lab people came out and said, it's like, yeah, we're not like Gamers Nexus or Unbox or Hardware Unbox, when it comes to testing. And then it just started a chaotic
Cascade.
chaos ensued. Yeah, chaos ensued. So yeah, I don't know if you've come across this or followed it at all, but
I mean, I do watch Linus Tech Tips, but the reason I watch Linus Tech Tips is because I find Linus Tech Tips to be entertaining. I don't take it as gospel. I'm not like, oh, I got to listen to this guy. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and there's a little bit of information interspersed in there. I actually like Linus Tech Tips. I listen to their podcast about stuff.
yeah,
I really like when they sit there and shit on Apple products.
yeah,
And see the Apple fanboys get so mad. They get so mad. But they shit on everything. They shit on Apple products. They shit on
Windows sometimes.
Windows occasionally, but mostly it's Apple, Linux. I love when they shit on Linux. It's like, oh yeah, because I totally want to learn coding just to use my fucking computer.
Yeah, that's the problem with Linux. It's not as straightforward. And I've tried to find like I've tried to find comprehensive stuff on learning how to use like the command line stuff. There's nothing out there. Everybody just copies and pastes information. It's like, well, this is no way to learn. Okay, whatever.
Well, here's the thing, though. There are good distros of Linux, but the problem is the best user-friendly distros of Linux make your shit look fundamentally like Windows OS or Mac OS, which tells me something.
Exactly.
That your OS with Windows sucks. No, but yeah, like basically what I'm saying is this. Like back to Linus Tech Tips, the Linus Media Group. Here's what I think. I think that because Linus is, and those people over there are business first. Not gonna take away. Not that that's. I'm not saying that as a pejorative. It's just they're very big about the business of having a tech concern. Okay, they looked at the metrics and probably said we have to have X amount of we have to get X amount of videos put out. that on average are getting these many views in order to make money so that everyone get paid.
Yeah.
All right. So they're a business. You know, it's like here's the thing. First of all, you should never look at a video on the internet as gospel on how to build your computer, how to structure your life, any of that shit.
Yeah. Because every, you know, all these methods, everybody uses various different methods of testing. Like it's not, you know, just because one person says something about the performance of a GPU doesn't necessarily mean that's the overall conclusion of that particular GPU.
Yeah.
What was their testing methodology? Were they overclocking? What was the case were they that they were using, or were they using a test bench? Because it's just like, um, where do they add more power to it?
Look, I'm going to tell you something right now, okay? I have seen computer build channels I think they had a podcast where this guy was like answering questions about building a PC, and he said like this guy's like, yeah, I like my motherboard has like 4 slots, and I want to use all two like 3 of the 4 slots are PCIe slots, and one is like for the graphics card or whatever. And he's like, I can't use all of my slots. Like I put in slots for my M.2 slots, NVMe M.2 slots. He's like, it's got 4 slots, but I'm only getting, when I put all 4 in there, I'm only seeing like three drives. And the guy's like, yeah, well, see, you have the revision. See, if you go with the old one, the legendary version, it's like how many people are gonna fucking know some shit like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like you can't, you gotta take it. Now, am I gonna be like, oh, they got Linus, they got him? I'm like, first of all, I don't give a shit. But second of all, even if I did, I'm like, I mean, not everything is gonna be the same.
Yeah, I mean,
they're running a business. They're trying to get paid. I'm not going to get mad at those people because they're trying to get paid. I'm just going to be like, look, they're probably, what they probably need to do is maybe have
various different teams work on.
no, well, have them compartmentalize their teams. Okay, you guys are the gaming team. You guys are this team. You guys are that team, and have someone who's the head of that team who ameliorates all that information and then looks at it and says, okay, does this jibe? Is this like an editor, like a mini editor of that team? And then it gets turned in. But like I said, they're not a huge studio. There's like, what, 20 people?
I think they got.
Because Linus used to be the head, and then he stepped down. Someone else is over it now.
Well,
So
I think they have over 100 people because they have the lab.
they have a lab. You can look at the video where they have the building that they're in, but they don't own that building. They rent it. They rent out part of that building.
Yeah.
They don't because I think they had maybe 20 people.
I don't know.
I think they maybe had 20 people. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 100.
Yeah.
I know it's in Canada. Everything's more expensive in Canada.
Yeah. I work at Nice Media Group. Within 2 years of its establishment in 2014, renamed Linus Tech Test is being within the top 1% of Google's. Doesn't really say. LNG is headquartered in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. As it's May 2013. It has over 100 full-time employees.
Okay. Well, then I guess it's just an issue of not allocating resources to properly vet their videos. Yeah. Oh well, not my problem.
Yeah.
Listen, you shouldn't. Here's what I'm going to
still
say to
interested
anybody
in the
who's
topic.
like, well, here's what I'm going to say about the people who are like all up in arms about the shit. If you are, um, if you're using their videos as the end all be all about whether or not you should get something, please don't do that. Like
Yeah,
for real,
it's just not
don't
a
do
good
that.
idea. Yeah,
Don't don't use any tech reviewer as the end all be all of if you should do something or not. You know, use multiple things and really understand the limitations of your hardware, okay, before you start doing anything. Um,
especially for headphones and speakers.
well, headphones, speakers, like, okay, let me put it this way. If it's some shit that's easily replaced, fuck it. Take a chance. If it's shit that's like 400, 500, 600 or more to replace, you might want to do a little bit of research before you start fucking around with it. Just a pro tip right
The
there.
reason I brought up headphones and speakers specifically is because everybody hears differently. So you might get somebody that wears a pair of Sony headphones and compares it to like say the really Air Pro the Apple headphones and be like Apple headphones are great. The Sony headphones don't sound as good. And I've seen reviews where people are like the Sony headphones sound much better than the Apple headphones. But
Yeah, I mean, plus people's heads are shaped differently. Like for me, I swear by DJ headphones.
yeah,
They have noise cancellation. They're comfortable. You can put
yeah,
them on your head for a long time. But and plus they're cheaper because if you like, here's the thing. I don't want to spend like if you want the really top of the line ear headphones, you're spending $1,000.
yeah,
I
yeah,
ain't spending $1,000 on headphones. I'm
yeah,
not doing it.
yeah.
Okay, not doing it. Who's got two thumbs and ain't paying $1,000 for some fucking headphones? This guy.
Exactly.
Not doing it. That being said, you know, I think some people are just. I think ultimately some people are just whiny little bitches, and they just want a reason to. People want to find something to be scandaled about. Oh, can you believe they did that? It's like, yeah, I can believe it. Get out of my face.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty. I mean, it's really not the end of the world for me. It's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of it. I'm not really like rooting for any side or any particular side. I'm just interested to see what
People's
comes out.
the behavior.
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested to
People's
see.
behavior.
Um, but
Yeah, they
yeah,
crying about it.
I just found that interesting. But
Like, oh my god, can you believe this happened? Like, I can believe anything because people like whining and complaining. That's what people need to realize is that people love to whine and complain about shit. All right, it's cathartic to complain. You know, just don't do it too much.
yeah,
So then people get tired of hearing about you, hearing that shit,
yeah,
and I can't blame them.
yeah. In any case, you got a free topic.
Sure, sure. I got a free topic. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it ought to be done.
Well, what would that exactly? What would that thing be exactly?
Just anything. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it should be done. For example, um, I'm kind of dipping into my stash for
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow, but I can think of a new way to look at it tomorrow or add something to it tomorrow. Let's see where. Shit. Here it is. Um, the guy who worked on Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah.
All right. that guy is like, oh, well, it's been so long since we've done. I would really like to do another installment. I'm like, man, don't nobody want a fucking another installment. You tried. You put the game on the Wii, on the Wii U, and the Wii Crystal Bearers, and that game was shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they re-released Crystal Chronicles on the Switch and everything else, and it was fundamentally played. It was broken. You re-released a 6-gen game, and it was fucking broken.
Yeah.
So y'all need to stop with that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't have a good reason to do something, just don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Here's a little teaser. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Hideki Kamiya talking about JRPGs. Once again, Hideki Kamiya cutting through the bullshit right there. He says, Bayonetta creator Hideki Kamiya sticks up for the term JRPG after the controversy. These are RPG games that, in a sense, only Japanese creators can make. Thank you! That's why people like JRPGs, because you only get them from Japanese developers.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're shitting on JRPGs and turn-based mechanics, and then Baldur's Gate 3 comes around, and everybody's talking about it. It's just, it's funny to me that these people think that things that are old and passe. It's because you were making shitty turn-based games for a while.
Well,
That's why.
I mean, to be fair, like, not every JRPG was good, but even the shitty ones are better than some of the more actiony RPG games they have now, where they just take RPGs, they just take any fucking game and add RPG elements to it.
Yeah.
Which is just lazy, really.
Yeah.
It's lazy. It's like, hey, like this is an RPG. No, it's not. I don't control a party. I'm not fighting a group of people. I'm not really equipping anything. It's like this is not an RPG. Stop calling shit an RPG that's not an RPG.
Yeah.
Well, it's got RPG elements. Get out of my face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just kind of ironic with Final Fantasy 16 coming out. I still haven't heard anybody really talk about the fact that Square isn't proud of their sales. It's just kind of, I feel like Final Fantasy 16 has been swept under the rug.
No, I mean, like, here's the thing. They were expecting like 10, 15 million in sales, and I think it sold like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Which just proves that Square Enix overvalues their IPs. Because, like, what the fuck have they done with Final Fantasy to make it get to that level?
Yeah, exactly.
They release subpar ass games that are trash, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you keep on abusing an IP, at a certain point, people are going to get tired of dealing with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. I got nothing else to say.
I wanted to talk about the. Have you seen pictures of the PlayStation 5 re-release, Pro,
Slim,
Slim,
where they strip out features.
Yeah.
They strip out features.
Yeah, we're doing this again. Get ready for that. Yeah.
I haven't seen pictures of it. I just heard that they were doing it, and I was like, okay, I guess that's cool. How can I put this nicely without sounding like a dick? It's good that they're making one that's cheaper that more people can play, but I mean, you know, it's the PlayStation. Like, here's the thing: since most of the PlayStation games are also getting put on, like the first party games are getting put on PC as well, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If I can get it on PC as well, then there's no reason for me to, you know, break my ass to play the game on to get a PS5. Besides, every time I try to go get a fucking PS5, the shit is sold out. They're like, "We got PS5s in stock." I'm like, "Okay, I'll get it." By the time I get there, we don't have any left. I think they're lying. I think there's no PS5s available. They want customers to go to the store, spend money on bullshit.
Yeah, typically.
We don't have
Unfortunately.
PS5s, but you want to buy this PS this Sony this PlayStation Classic? No. We'll give it to you for free? No.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well.
I hope it works out, but it probably won't because it's Sony and Sony Sony has a history of here's the thing. When Sony gets arrogant, they think their shit doesn't stink and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Damn the consequences. When Microsoft was arrogant when they released the OG Xbox, and then ever since then they've been like, okay, yeah, we need to shut the fuck up. Nintendo, when they get arrogant, they do shit like they do shit like the N64 and the Wii U.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, even if you didn't have an N64, there are good games on the N64 and the Wii U. Like there's cool things about those consoles. I mean, I don't think you're missing out on much if you don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're missing out. Oh, shoot. I don't think you're missing out on much either.
Pardon me?
I don't think you're missing out on much either. A lot of stuff's on PC. A lot of stuff eventually will be on PC. It seems like, and yeah, unless you really want to play it day and date, I guess get a PS5. But if you don't care and you got plenty to play somewhere else, especially on your PC, then what's the point?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I have so many goddamn games just on my Steam library alone, and my GOG library, and my Amazon Prime library, my Amazon game library. I have so many damn games. I really like. I'm good. I can wait. Then Starfield's coming out later on this year. I got Baldur's Gate. Man, I ain't got time for all the games I got.
Yeah.
I don't have time to play all the games I have.
Yeah.
But I tell you this much, back to piggyback on what you said earlier, I personally would be fucking terrified if I was BioWare at Baldur's Gate 3 and what Larian was able to do with that game.
Yeah.
When you factor in that Larian, like it's basically Baldur's Gate 3 is a love letter to Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, seen through the lens of what Larian's been doing with Divinity.
Yeah.
And you have BioWare who just can't seem to get their shit together because they keep on trying to mass market appeal their games while losing what made their games interesting. Because remember, the first Mass Effect is a RPG first, sci-fi game second, action game third. Mass Effect 2 is an action game with a lot of RPG elements. Mass Effect 3 is straight up an action game with very little RPG elements, and it's to its detriment, really. Dragon Age was basically like a love letter to uh it was a love letter to fucking Baldur's Gate,
Yeah.
Dragon Age Origins, and Awakening. And then they made Dragon Age 2, which was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And don't get me started with Inquisition. That game is trash. I've heard people, oh, it's not that bad. It's fucking trash.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. I got nothing else to say.
All right.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, looks like another short show this week. Didn't have too much to talk about, but I think it was okay. Sometimes quality over quantity is much better than quantity over quality. But want to pimp out what you've been working on?
Yeah, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. Glad to be on another cast that I was not the showrunner on. We will be having a cast tomorrow. Well, we will be talking about well, you know, shit's been happening in the gaming industry. Also, going to sprinkle in a little pop culture stuff, but nothing too outrageous. So that's going to be fun. 7:30 to around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Look forward to that. That'll be on my channel, BS Busters. That's it.
All right, I'll catch you guys all next week. Around the same time, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. See you guys then. Have a good week.